The municipality of Dysart et al. Since 1867.
Oh, is this thing plugged in, Kate?
Yep, I already took care of it, Steve.
So if I push this button, that's gonna switch the screen, the picture will change?
Yeah, it'll switch the slides.
Oh, okay. Well, and they're all in the right way? That I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Well, everyone, I just wanted to start off by welcoming you here to the Haliburton Highlands Museum for our slideshow, a little taster of some of the stuff that's in our collection. My name's Kate Butler, and I'm the director of the Haliburton Highlands Museum. And this is my colleague, Steve Hill, the curator.
Yeah, I'm Steve Hill. I'm the curator. I work here with Kate. Is everybody good with this here? We do have refreshments down in the kitchen there. Tea, coffee, whatever. Does anybody want anything? Let's get this thing started. Here we go.
Years ago, the railway was an important part of Haliburton's story, wasn't it, Steve?
The idea was to bring settlers into Haliburton, and if they could get here easier by train than slugging up through the waterways and the dirt roads of the time, it would be a boon to Haliburton to have a railway, but ironically, it proved to be the means of escape for people if they wanted to start over with the Haliburton farms being exhausted of good soil conditions. It proved to be the means of escape to get out to the prairies to start over again. Well, that's a surveyor's chain. That 66-foot long chain stretched out that the surveyors were using to measure when they were laying out the surveys of the townships and the lot lines in Haliburton. Now it's bloody metric stuff, but in those days they used the proper feet, inches, and chains to do their survey measures with. Whoops! That's a sugar devil or a fruit auger, an oversized corkscrew looking rig.
And apparently, sugar was so expensive back in the 19th century that a block of sugar was actually considered to be an appropriate wedding gift.
Well, I'm not surprised because I've heard of some people in Haliburton that got a cow as a wedding gift to make their own butter and milk with. Well, it's the Calathumpian Parade coming up Maple Avenue, just about to turn onto York Street. That float right there we know was Daniel Gorey's store float. He had a store where the IGA is now. I think they're calling it Foodland this week, but they had that float there covered with Kellogg's cornflakes boxes. Well, it's interesting, that golden slipper sign, because the family that donated it to the museum, the husband and wife had met at the slipper at a dance back in the 40s, and they happened to be out at the dump bear watching, and darned if they didn't see the old slipper sign sitting in the scrap lumber pile, and they fished it out and took it back to Toronto and nailed it on the side of their garage, where they could rekindle memories in their backyard while sitting out on their patio. And when they passed away, their children donated the sign to the museum. These ripper sleighs were really popular in Haliburton right up until about the time of the Second World War. If the roads were perfectly icy, you could get from the top of Mountain Street right down to the main street if you got the corners turned just right. And you didn't have to worry about cars in those days, because in the winter nobody drove their cars in Haliburton. They were all up on blocks. You know, this reminds me of a story Watt was telling me when he worked for Crew's Mill in Haliburton about Fred and Laura that used to haul the sawdust out of the mill there and take it to the dumping pile. And Fred and Laura worked together because Laura, she was a blind horse and she needed Fred to help her along.